Thank you so much for tuning into my tarot channel. My name is Paulina. I have a message to share with you. Ooh, sorry about the jitteriness. I have a couple questions in my head, and I'm going to try to the best of my ability. I didn't write them down to remember what they are. So before I start, I'll talk a little about some of the symbolism I've encountered today already. I go on a morning walk with my dog for necessity, but also just sort of spiritual practice and also just getting blood flowing through the system. The whole body is just really important for my brain, to be honest, and for everything. But it's just a routine. So sometimes we walk a mile, sometimes it's just half a mile, sometimes a lot. Miles. Kind of depends on the day, but definitely we always walk in the morning, at least half a mile. That may be important. Okay, I'm thinking of this book called Walk Two Moons, and I think that's what it's called. It's a young adult book by Sharon Creek. It immediately came to mind, so I'm going to trust that. And it's an old book from like the 90s when I was a kid, and I loved it. And it's sort of based on this Indian Native American saying, like, you can never judge a man until you've walked 2 moons in his moccasins, or something to that effect. So I feel like you may be at a point where you feel judged by someone, or there's been judgment put upon you that feels unfair and not true. I also saw, I'm going to get back to that, but I saw a vole on my walk this morning, and it was deceased, specifically a vole. And I'm obsessed with sort of animal symbolism, if you don't know. And I just researched it, but then, thought about it. And for me, the best analysis is that it's the death of small things, or small people, small matters, petty things, or also just like an end to situations that aren't serving you. And also, where are you putting your energy where it might not be serving you? This could be. And you may also have realized now that you put your energy in the past towards things that didn't serve you. You may just be like a lot more relaxed about things that in the past you would have gotten activated about. So that's coming through first, those things in the reading. And also Walk Two Moons is about a young girl and her journey, and like learning about her culture, but also her own identity. It's a great book. I'll put it below. I'll put the link below. And I believe Sharon Creech is part Native American. Okay, Page of Pentacles. So this is about an opportunity, or a financial opportunity, or the beginning of a financial idea, maybe like a new entrepreneurial idea. Or just, it could be something that's being given to you. What's hidden from the viewer? What's hidden from the viewer? There's someone who's very angry with you, but I think it's hidden from you how... Sorry, that's my stomach. I'm trying to do this before I eat to be really fresh. So I think that there's something hidden from you. Like, there may have been someone very angry in your past, that like a partner or just interpersonal relationship, that their anger was hidden, but also like how angry they really were and the anger problems they had. You may have seen parts of it, or you may have shielded yourself or put your head in the sand. But since it's reversed, it means the negative connotation of King of Wands, which I think first is domineering and anger, and possible misuse of sexuality, like using it abusively. This could be an old partner or an old acquaintance, So I'm getting that this means they're being sort of taken out of the picture, actually, that's what's being hidden, is that they actually have deep issues and they're not in your life anymore because they're being hidden from you, but also you're being sort of protected. Let's get actually a direct question. What is the viewer being protected from here by Spirit? Okay, actually your own ability to like build a financial garden is being protected in some way. You may feel like it's not, and it's like your way of getting money is like on the line somehow, but it's being protected. Your financial building blocks are being protected by Spirit. Okay, so I'm gonna back up a little bit. Okay, and what does Spirit want us to know in general? I'm so sorry about my stomach. just roll with it. What does Spirit want us to know? So I feel that I'm getting some info now from your guides as I relax a little bit. I'm hearing the world is at your fingertips, and you may not feel that way in your situation. This also traditionally is a card of travel or worldliness, or just, feeling on top of the world, or, it could be about self-actualization, being, known in the world, but also there's, there's things your guides are saying to me that you want to do, that you have excitement about, okay, in life, that you've put off because you said someday. And it's sort of like you're being called to go and do that thing in some capacity. It may not be the full-on thing that, that may be like some fantasy, but you may want to be realistic about what could be done about this dream. Maybe you want to go around the world, but you don't have the money to go around the world, so you go cross country. Maybe I don't know, maybe there's something in your career that is important that you want to change, and it's actually too much right now, but you can make a small change. Okay, and what is the viewer unaware of? So we got hidden, but there's things in your psyche that you're unaware of, which is different from what's hidden. Okay, what are you unaware of? Your power. You have so much power. You have a lot of personal force, like that, just your energy, not like negative force. And I'm gonna get a message about that relationship in the beginning, where it was about sort of a negative King of Wands relationship, where someone's angry. What do we need to know about that? What do we need to know? What do we need to know? Ooh. So that person is a hermit, and you're maybe a hermit because of the situation. Again, I don't know if this is an ex or just an ex, like an ex-partner, or just like an ex relationship, like friend or whatever, what capacity. This person has, okay, this person is, there's like a release or letting go happening here, an ending point, because this person feels like they're being caught in something, either, that's under the belt. That's something bad. Like, this is about someone going to another encampment and stealing supplies. So they're feeling like this is an ending because they're maybe guilty. I'm hearing the word guilty in some words, but not that they're so much guilty like they've done something so bad, like they're guilty of this sort of pain that they've caused here, and they know that. And this also relates to their life. And when I do some astral projection with them, they may be actually sleeping a lot because they have depression, this person. And they also have an imbalance in their food. They're not like eating very well, because this ending with you, Or this could have been in the past that they didn't eat well and they didn't sleep well. But definitely at the current state, they're feeling like something they did is like bad. Or they may be thinking that something, they may be defensively saying that something you did is theft in some way. I want more clarity on that. That's so vague. What are they saying that you stole from them? Let's get some clarity here. Or what are they feeling guilty about or accusing you of? Page of Pentacles. So we already got this. I'm going to take this out. But just, oh, this is a lost financial opportunity. Maybe you were a financial opportunity for them. Ooh. Maybe they feel that you made them lose financial opportunities. Okay, so there's deception because underlying this is heartbreak. Heartbreak. This person, oh, excuse me. I also read this as heartbreak within the family line here because Cancer is relating to the moon and can be about the family line. Some astrologers might say that Pisces can relate to the moon as well. So, but it's more overtly related to Cancer because Cancer rules the moon. But it's sort of like this person is heartbroken in their life and you can't fix it. And they may have been hiding that from you because I'm not getting that you're the heartbreaker. I'm getting that they're just heartbroken. And you may have tuned into that. I want more info on that, on why this person, what do they feel you took from them, maybe more specifically. What do they feel you took from them? This person had some passionate feelings, and some emotional feelings towards you that were sort of like both, you know, since these are both knights, it was sort of like it wasn't like they weren't kingly in it, you know, they weren't able to own it. It wasn't fledgling because it wasn't the page, but like they're moving towards something with you. So they felt like you took that trajectory of maybe sex and romance from them. Sorry, I mentioned sex a lot, I guess. Okay, one of your ancestors is coming in the reading. Something with an R name or an M name, Z name, K name, or those letters could be in their name. And their birthday has to do, it has the letter two, the number 2 in it, so somewhere the number 2 and the number 5 and or in any variation. Okay, and this ancestor is telling you that just as I said in the Vole thing in the beginning, little things that don't matter are going to fall away. Let's get a direct card from this ancestor. This is about leaving a situation that's no longer serving you. Your ancestor is telling me that you they focus on the word serve, and you may have been in a service position in your life or a service role, and that is beautiful in a lot of ways. This could be even just like a server, or it could be like someone who works like as a caretaker or in the, you know, in the human services field maybe, and or even just a nurse. So you had a service role, but they're telling me that that comes from childhood, that is your role in some capacity in the family. They're showing me images of roses with groups of roses. Maybe you spent time in a garden with this ancestor, or this is someone you knew, I believe, actually. So it's maybe grandparent, aunt, or parent, or sibling, somebody that has passed on. But ancestor, I got the word ancestor because it's obviously clearly someone who's related to you in the energy. So they spent time with you in beautiful places, but maybe I'm getting like also perhaps like a beach house situation maybe. But the roses, something about the roses, they also, they're so funny, this person. Okay, so they're also saying that like you kind of like rose from the dead in a situation in your life, and they see that you like, they're talking about Frankenstein, that you rose from the dead, and that also your complexion has improved. I don't know if you're eating better, if you're like, you know, you have rosy cheeks, like maybe you're exercising more, you were pale or something, you weren't sleeping, something was happening with your skin tone, they're saying. I'm gonna listen a little more to the ancestor, and then I'm gonna try to pull the reins a little back here and get some. Okay, you dropped the word, they're showing me like a dropped ball and marbles. Maybe you played marbles as a kid. I loved marbles. You feel that you dropped the ball. Did you play basketball maybe also, or bowling? Something, you did some games with this person similar to these things I've mentioned, but they're saying that it's okay because oh, maybe you lost your marbles over this too. Okay, and that's specifically from the movie, making me think of the movie the movie Hook, where there's a character who is one of the lost boys who lost his marbles, and he spends the whole time just like looking for his marbles and obsessing about his marbles, and he's obviously like senile or mentally something's going on, dementia maybe, but you may be sort of your guide or your ancestor is telling me that you may have felt like a Peter Pan in your life, but there's been a Captain Hook also. You've had to dance around, like there's been a villain here. And of course, I think of alligators, because alligators, like you may have felt like people were trying to say that you're immature, but actually I see that is a beautiful spirit of innocence and eternal child in you that is saving you, the Peter Pan essence here. But the crocodile took Hook's hand. I believe that has this very special significance in like Native Americans from Florida, like their lore specifically. I lived in Florida for like a little over a year when I was a kid. Very different from the Northeast where I spent most of my life. So I'm thinking of also lizards, but I'll stick with the crocodile for a second. It's different from an alligator. I forget how. I think it's just variations of the same animal, but I'm not exactly sure what Native Americans would say, but here's what I would say, that it's about hidden fears that can be incredibly dangerous, lurking under the surface, okay? And it's also about swift movement, because they're incredibly fast. They can grab a victim in 2 seconds. With the lizard, I think of the sign of Scorpio, because that's one of the symbols of Scorpio. And so you're going through a transformation that has to do with overcoming these deep fears of like hidden traumas that are now coming to light. The flame. You've had to sustain something within yourself over time. You've had to like reset the furnace within yourself, relight it, because there's been some people who've tried to put it out. Let's get to some closing messages, then I'll do some channeling. Spirit, what do we need to know? Let's ask this. What's the right direction for this viewer? What's the right direction for this viewer? Any advice on what the right direction is? Advice from Spirit is, we are all orphans. So I feel like this reading is a little jumbled, but it feels like there was a person who was maybe abusive in some ways, like a man or just an intense woman in your past, okay? And you feel like it showed you like a lot about yourself, and you had to rise up from it, and you felt orphaned. But it actually made you, this change with the 5 made you realize that we're all kind of orphaned, we're all kind of alone. And just let's get a closing message from Spirit. The Mirror. Yeah, let me just do some drop in on your auric energy and your field. Whoever's watching, which I know is not many people. I saw like zigzag shapes, and I felt like really jittery. I don't know if you're having a lot of coffee. The zigzag is actually a specific meaning from, again, native cultures, but it sort of represents the river and the movement of life. Maybe even spending time by water. But I also want to remind you that may be helpful to go spend time near a river and watch how it flows, and watch that it keeps going. Things keep going, life keeps going. Now I'm channeling somebody I know who talked this way, who had a big metaphor with rivers and going down the river. Okay, so you got to just go down the river and let it go where it takes you, and let the rapids kind of go as they are, and the rocks and the sort of foam and all the things, and go around the bends and let it go where it goes. Sorry, I'm channeling, so talking a little different. And then sometimes the river takes you somewhere you don't want to go, and you go over an overpass, and there's a bridge, and you have to keep going. And sometimes the river stops because there's sludge, and you have to get the muck out. But you know what? You keep going because you go down the river. And if you sit and watch the river, you can see how the river moves, and how the river goes this way and that way, and how it has its own current and its own movement, and you don't have to touch it, and you can watch the river flow on its own. Okay. So that was someone I knew named Tom, an old therapist who was very into that analogy and did channeling himself. So it makes a lot of sense that he's coming through this river. So I would say that you need to trust the flow of life, that there's been difficulties, but just keep going down in passive resistance, keep flowing. Abraham Hicks would say, you don't go against the current, let the flow happen, and just hop on the ride is also what I'm hearing. And with the mirror, I feel like there's aspects of self that you're trying to do some projection. Okay, here's what you're doing. Trying to make it seem like everybody thinks like you do, but they don't. And I don't know, that could be used reflexively. You could be thinking in a very harsh way, or you could be thinking in a very intense way, like a cruel way, because you're in a place of protection. Or you could be thinking in like an overly kind way, and that's dangerous too. You want to be right in the middle of that. Okay, it's the pendulum of human nature. We want to sit nice and steady right in the middle. We're not going to make ourselves vulnerable to cruelty, and we're also not going to be the ones who are being cruel and oppressing people. So I'm asking, what part of that are you on? No judgment, because sometimes when people are in deep fear, they swing towards cruelty. And sometimes when people are feeling powerless, they swing towards vulnerability. Okay, so that's the end of the reading, and I'm going to do some confirmations for anyone who wants to know if this is their reading. This is where I use my intuitive subconscious skill. And I'm sorry if it was scary for you with the speech changes, with the channeling. It's just sort of weird because I don't really know what I'm saying, and I feel pushed back, and I just sort of let it happen. But that was not how I usually talk, and not the sort of cadence or things that I would say. So that's definitely Tom, who is someone I cared about. So Tom also had a decline in his cognition as time went on, and he had heart issues, which can, maybe there's someone you're dealing with, that's how he died, who like is not thinking clearly, okay? Like they're not themselves. They've changed. They're not who they were. Like they may have some character changes. And that could also be you. And this could be for the positive or negative. Maybe someone's had like a mental change in your life that's they're like completely unrecognizable, and it's not good or bad. It's just they're not the same person. And then maybe someone also, maybe you or them, is like having some cognitive, or had in the past, some issues with cognitive stuff because of whatever reason. Trauma, Alzheimer's, mental health episode, illness can cause that, you know. You just, if you're on chemo, you may have brain fog and not know what's going on. Okay, so I was gonna do more cards, but I'm actually doing. Okay, so for confirmations, I'm getting the color pink, really like neon pink, which is very specific. That makes me think of sort of clubbing for some reason. Maybe you've I just try to go with my intuition here. In the 80s, maybe you are someone who likes to go out. This makes me think of neon lights. Who likes to go out a lot in the past, and now you feel like you're a homebody. And that's okay. I think that you're actually finding that your excitement and energy that you're thinking about that time can be accessed and harnessed all the time. You don't have to be in a club atmosphere. And I'm getting definitely like a neon pink energy with this viewer, which could mean that there's some like sort of exciting changes happening with you. I see that as just movement in the body, blood flow, brain changes, cognitive increase, possibly, maybe letting go of some issues with how the body methylates in your cells, which can take a lot of time. Okay, that's really specific, sorry. That's an example of channeling, because I'm also using my higher intelligence, which I know a lot, but I'm not always able to analyze or access it in like conversation, because I get anxious when I talk to people. Okay, so I'm just trying to, yeah, sorry, a little weird here. I'm also getting, with anyone who's watching, people watching from like the southern part of the state, like the south, like someone maybe from around Tennessee or Virginia or Georgia. Somebody who raises pigs, somebody who loves pigs. I'm getting pig as an animal here, just in general. Pigs are very human-like, and we use pigs for a lot of scientific experiments because their genes can be helpful for us for like operations and stuff. You may have felt like the life you're living is like not your own right now. Like it's like, because they can be used for cloning, or for like the cells can be used for like stuff for people's heart and stuff. You may have felt like you're living a life that's not your own, or your body is betraying you in some ways, and Spirit wants you to know. I'm also thinking of the truffle pigs that look for truffles, which shows that pigs have amazing sense of smell. You are going to sniff out some better situation for yourself in this life, okay? It has to do with intuition, because you're right. We all have a Truman Show moment where we're like, the people around us are false, or this relationship is bad, I have to leave it now, or whatever it is, this job is horrible. That, you know, the Truman Show is a show with movie with Jim Carrey, where he realizes his life has been a TV show the whole time. I'm also getting from the viewer you need to spend time with amethyst. can clear your energy and make you more pure. I'm getting viewers from just the Northeast, from New York City. A few people over the next year will watch this. Viewers from New England, New York City, I said that, Long Island, specifically Great Neck, Manhasset area. Someone's watching from, I keep getting Brussels. They will be watching this in the next year. Someone from Kentucky. I don't know why so many southern viewers. It's interesting. Anyway, I'm also getting one person. I keep getting one person from California, or who spends time in California, or whose California is very important. Also, these places could all be places that you've been to that are important to you, that matter, that you have significant memories there. Rhode Island specifically. Okay, also with names, I'm getting B names. These are names that are important to you, someone you know, or someone in your life, or you. Beatrice, Ben, Bianca, Betty. Okay, Carl, Andrew, Marcus, Tiffany. T names. Anyone with a T name? Lauren, Michaela, Devin. Anyone with a Z in their name at all. I'm also getting, for numbers, I'm getting 2256. 2256. So I'll start with the numbers themselves. The 2 is partnership. You may have created a partnership out of necessity right now. It could even just be your dog. And that's double because there's 2. So it's like maybe 2 partnerships. 5 is communication and change. So, and maybe mercurial people around you with the relationship part at the beginning. Mercurial means they're changeable and their moods may change. 6 is about a love relationship. So you may be headed towards a love relationship that is new for you. It's also the 6th house. So you may be headed towards health when you've been dealing with a health issue. Okay, and I'm gonna get closing message from Spirit. Okay, the closing message is just do what you need to do in life and carry on. Keep calm and carry on. That's the message. I don't know who I'm channeling here. Actually, I have no idea. Someone probably varies. This may be for someone specific. This may be a phrase that you like. I think it's a British phrase from the Queen, one of the Queens. Keep calm and carry on is the message from Spirit. And that is the end of the reading. Sealing this message, closing it with my love and the divine wisdom of Mother Mary, who I pray to every day. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're interested in the reading, it's $45 suggested donation via Cash App or PayPal. And it's a 45-minute reading via Zoom or pre-recorded and emailed to you. Thank you so much. I am feeling Archangel Michael come in as we end the reading. So if you've been in an emergency, because he is the patron angel of emergencies, just know that things are going to get better for you. Things are going to improve, and that Spirit has your back.